Hello everybody, it's day 34 and we're in Kyoto, but today
We had the Hiroshima day
so we took the bullet train to Hiroshima to
visit a lovely island called Miyajama. And Miyajima is famous for a particular torii, these red gates. This one is monumental and is right in the middle of the sea by the shore of the island. And people say that sometimes, depends on the tide, it depends on the
mist.
Right? It seems to be floating above the water.
It's a beautiful island and it's literally maybe a 10-minute ferry ride from the train station.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's going to come out in the pictures that we send you, but they're very focused in Japan on the effect of the rippling water, the reflections, the mist, the mountains. You do get that feeling, that sort of sense that it's a mystical place, but I don't know if it's going to come across on camera. But it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was really...
they grow oysters between the main island and the small island. You can see all the benches,
oyster beds,
oyster beds, and they sell zillions of oysters.
But the food was very good. I had octopus and squid for lunch. It was delicious.
I had deep fried oysters.
Oh my God! Yeah. Now,
well, I made a mistake in my order.
They were sold in sets of 4. He bought 20 oysters, but he managed to eat 14 of them.
Yeah, I was to eat 14 of them. But
I ate one.
It was delicious.
And the remaining 5 went in the bin.
The other surprise there, when you arrive, you all these little deers walking around with the people.
They are wild, but they have learned that humans pose no threat to them.
Yeah, I would say semi-domesticated.
Yeah,
like that. And
so they potter about begging for food.
Obviously,
from the
they
tourists.
are not thin.
And occasionally asserting their right to food. So I think Gary saw one of them steal an ice cream from a little girl who was somewhat distressed by the whole process. But anyway, it was a lovely morning. And then we took the train back into Hiroshima and went to visit the atomic dome 50 years ago when I was about 20.
Yeah.
I went backpacking around Europe. And I was in Munich Youth Hostel, and me and another guy who was there decided to go on a whim to visit Dachau. And I don't think, I probably had PTSD. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I got very upset when they described a woman who had formed a friendship, a Jewish woman who was in the concentration camp, but she was trusted, so she was allowed to do work, and she had formed a friendship with a cleaner, and she talked about the banality of it. The cleaner knew what was going on in that concentration camp, but just was saying, I'm just doing my job. And I don't know why, but it just played on my mind that this woman was just going in every day and cleaning, while this concentration camp was like an abattoir for humans. It just traumatized me. So when I came to Hiroshima, I was thinking, this is going to be traumatic. But I had a different feeling. It's a bit more nuanced about whether it was the right thing to do or not to bomb Japan. It was quite a complicated...
Well, I got a bit emotional at some point, but
yeah, you did. You were tearful at one point.
Yeah, but it's like a monument, in fact, and it's maintained in the state he was, not to be damaged by the time and by also the earthquakes, and it's protected to. It's listed on the
it's World Heritage.
So
the bomb itself didn't actually hit the ground, so it was exploded about 600 meters above this monument, and the impact of that was that it caused much wider devastation. The Americans wanted the bomb to be definitive, and so they decided to detonate it 600 feet above ground so that the shock wave would cause catastrophic damage for 2 kilometers, and the heat,
because it killed everybody in that
circle of 2 kilometers.
building instantly.
But they only had 2 bombs, and we were sort of talking about why didn't they warn the Japanese that they had the bomb and they were going to drop it. It was a secret that the Americans had actually built them, but they'd only built 2. And they were not convinced that 1 bomb would be enough to persuade the Japanese to surrender. And they were right, because after they exploded the bomb in Hiroshima, they were given 2 days to surrender, and they chose not to. And they had to explode their second bomb. Now, they only had 2 bombs. There were no more bombs. The Japanese didn't know that, although there's some suggestion that Japanese intelligence were saying that they didn't think they had more than 2. But after the second bomb, in Nagasaki, that still did not persuade the Japanese to surrender. What was the tipping point? Well, there were 2 things. One was that Russia declared war on Japan. And secondly, the emperor was fearful that he was going to get overthrown, that communism would be brought into Japan, and that the devastation was going to be too big. And so he overruled his military commanders and ordered the politicians to sue for peace.
And that was in August 1945, so the war was over in Europe.
So I think the first bomb was on the 6th. Yeah, the second bomb was on the 9th, and they didn't surrender until the 15th.
Yeah, so it was.
So a lot of the debate is around that more than 300,000 people died in those 2 bombs, but the question is, would more people have died in an extended, prolonged war fought trying to take back Japan island by island? So I don't know, I came away a bit more I went there thinking this is going to be traumatic, we're going to see the horror of nuclear war, and we did. It is horrific, but
we didn't visit any museum.
We didn't, no.
Well, the photos of devastation.
I personally didn't want to do that because of my experience.
We had enough with the monument, with the memorial itself.
And it's moving. It's very moving.
Very impactful.
Yeah. There's a man there, and he.
That's a lovely story.
He's a survivor, and which is surprising, but he was in the womb at the time that the bomb went off, so he must be in his 80s now.
Yeah.
81, and for the last 20 years he's gone there. I think after he retired, for the last 20 years he's gone every day to talk to people about the bomb. He speaks on site. He speaks in Japanese and in English. And one of the things that he was talking about was the amount of discrimination that Japanese people who lived in Hiroshima faced
afterwards.
After people would not marry them, they would not employ them. They thought they were afraid that they might catch something from them. But ironically, Hiroshima was safe the day after the bomb exploded. Because the bomb exploded 600 meters above the ground, the radioactive energy was dissipated into the atmosphere. So the ground itself, Hiroshima never evacuated. It started to rebuild from the day after. And the same with Nagasaki. And if you contrast that, they actually write about this as well. If you contrast that with Chernobyl, for example, that ground is still not fit to be lived on, and that's because the explosion took place at the ground level, and so all of the earth itself was contaminated. But that never was the case here. But nevertheless, the residents of Hiroshima faced decades and decades of discrimination and being shunned by other Japanese people. And even when they left Hiroshima and went to go and work in others,
start a new life
in other cities, as soon as people found out they were from Hiroshima, they would be shunned. So that was an interesting aspect that I'd never heard anything about before.
We learned a lot today.
So it was an interesting day. It's upsetting because there's so many people, and one of the things when you go in all of the cities, one of the cutest things you see is little Japanese children with their teachers going out on little walks or going to see things, and they all wear their brightly coloured caps. Their school cap is either yellow or red or green or whatever, and they've all got their little caps on. They're all holding hands, count. 2 by 2, walking, and it's beautiful to see these little kids going about
and uniform,
their thing. And then when you go there and you think, well, was that, with those, Hiroshima had not been really impacted by the war before the bomb. They had virtually no bombing at all, and had largely escaped any of the consequences of the war. And so you just think about those children going about their ordinary lives, maybe just walking through the streets on a school, going to school, or going on a trip, and then the world changes. So
now Hiroshima is absolutely thriving.
It's a thriving modern city, very similar to the
apart
cities.
From this remaining ruin of the
absolutely
of the war. The rest is absolutely beautiful, and as everywhere in Japan, modern and clean and buzzing and
efficient. Anyway, that's it for today. So we will probably not post anything tomorrow. Tomorrow's a travel day. We're traveling to Narita, and we will post something the day after with our impressions of the old town of Narita. So
I'll do
a French one. You're getting behind
a Japanese summary of in French.
In French.
So
good.
Love
okay,
you.
folks.
Bye.
Bye.